The recipient of the world's first penis transplant proved the surgery's efficacy by impregnating his girlfriend just a few months after his December operation. Now, the patient originally had to have his penis amputated after severe complications from a botched circumcision. Just months after the surgery, the man reported that he had regained all urinary and sexual functioning with his new penis. Now, his girlfriend's pregnancy confirms its reproductive functioning. Now, I just want to clarify here that the man is a member of South Africa's Xhosa tribe, and he experienced complications with his penis after a tribal rite of passage. Xhosa boys, some as young as 12, undergo ritual circumcision, or ukwaluka, then are isolated in mountain huts for weeks at a time. Doctors believe untold numbers of Xhosa men have been living without penises for years.
Oh my God.
According to government statistics, at least 38 boys died and 10 lost their penises just last year.
So
sad.
we had a raging debate on the show about circumcision, and the jury's out on that. In fact, here, let's do a poll on our app, and because I'm very curious. At the time, we didn't have the app, but now we do. If you want to get it in the App Store, just type in TYT. The poll I want is, should people do circumcision or not, basically, in essence, right? So that came out 50-50 amongst the hosts. I'm curious what you guys think. But one thing we were super clear on is no adult circumcision. Okay, you know, there's just no need for it, and none after the kids, after it's past the baby stage, however many days after birth. I had one when I was 6. I remember it.
Wow.
There's just no need for it. None.
Right.
Okay. Like, it's an open debate on when they're a baby, because the health consequences. It's just a slight advantage. It appears, for the moment being, according to some, to be circumcised, okay? But then there are these possible ramifications in health, I still think that it's 51 to 55 in favor of circumcision in terms of just health. Everything else is another matter,
if
right?
the circumcision is done in a sterile way.
Right.
If the circumcision is done in an unhealthy way, you're not going to have beneficial health consequences.
Doctors only.
Doctors only.
Right,
Doctors only for a circumcision.
So the interesting thing about this tribe is that they'll actually have a surgeon do it, but then they'll wrap like lamb skin around it, sometimes too tightly, cutting off circulation, and then they leave them starved and without water in the mountains for a long period of time, which also creates a lot of the complications.
Yeah,
that
so
we're talking about here.
they have no kind of intrinsic ability to fight infection if they get one.
Right.
Yeah, and look, people will love to hold on to traditions, and part of the reason that Turks sometimes do it when the kid can remember it, is old enough, is, oh, it's a rite of passage, etc. Yeah, but some traditions suck. We just have to recognize that and move past it. There's a tradition in Central Asia, in some of the Central Asian republics, to kidnap your wife. But she's not your wife yet. She didn't agree to it. It's a literal kidnap. And then her parents, well, since she got kidnapped and oftentimes raped, they come over and convince her to marry the guy. That's a tradition we can let go of. That's not a positive tradition, right?
And how much is circumcision?
You're anti-retro. It's just old school.
Stop that. Yeah. How much is circumcision just straight tied to religious tradition?
Absolutely.
It's an after-the-fact kind of argument for, and you're right, like the World Health Organization has said, it's a little bit healthier, it's a little bit safer, and you can fight infection a little bit better if you're circumcised. But like, that was not the reasoning. That's not the previous reasoning. That's an after, it's a post hoc.
That's aftermarket.
Yeah, exactly.
I like any story that includes the words back-to-back, botched circumcision. That's always a good story.
It's always depressing.
It always ends well, yeah. But this one did end well. That's the great thing, is that what amazing progress we can make in the world, that this guy had essentially lost his penis, gets a transplant, and he's going to have a child.
I'm actually surprised that it's taken this long for medical science to be able to do a penile transplant, because it doesn't, it's complicated. Transplants are complicated in general, but it doesn't seem like it would be any more complicated than transplanting a heart or a set of lungs into a person.
But there isn't that much.
It's arguably more important than a heart.
It's not. There aren't as many examples of needing it.
I guess that's true.
It doesn't come up.
And you can also get kind of plastic surgery. Like, when something does go wrong, I think historically it would be more common that people get reconstructive surgery than actually have a donor penis grafted onto their body.
That's also not a story that ends well. Donor penis.
Yeah.
Okay, so now look, in this case, he did originally get shafted, but he rose back up, and so it did end well. But there is a substantive great contrast here. the thing that got them in trouble in the first place is old traditions that are outdated, somewhat based on religion, somewhat based on culture, right? But what helped them was science.
Right.
And science, found a way. And so this is among the reasons why I love science, because it's stone cold facts, right? They
Right.
deal in facts, not on mythology and nonsense.